Hello, everyone. This is Ernie Humphrey, the CEO of Treasury Webinars. Thrilled to welcome you to my webinar today, AR Success, Communication and Collaboration Within and Beyond AR. Today, the webinar will feature the survey results and implications and inferences from the survey of the same name, which I partnered on with Esker. Proud to have Esker as my thought leadership partner for today's webinar. They share my commitment to supporting the professional success of all those using their software, in addition to their strong commitment to thought leadership as well, which is evident not only in this webinar, but in the survey that I'm going to discuss and some other initiatives that you'll be seeing from my great thought leadership partners, Esker. Two housekeeping items today. If you'd like a certificate of attendance for today's webinar, please send an email to Ernie at treasurywebinars.com. If you'd like a copy of today's slide deck, please send an email to Ernie at treasurywebinars.com. As always, we're going to have a lot of content. We're going to have a lot of survey results. The good news is that the survey results, there is a full-blown white paper that goes really in deep with the survey results that is going to be published on the Esker website in the very near future. There's also a blog that focuses on the role and the issues that we might be having and seeing with the collaboration between AR and Treasury. So really excited with the survey results. So give you a little bit of overview of our roadmap for our journey today. We're going to give you a little survey overview, give you some of the demographics. I'm going to start out with results, survey results, AR, lay of the land. Then we're going to really dive into many dimensions of AR communications. I've never seen a survey of this type before, so I'm really excited to share the results with you, because at the end of the day, communication leads to collaboration, and the more collaboration that we have internally within AR, with Treasury, with sales, and with our customers, the more control we're going to have on when we get paid, if we get paid, and how we get paid. So it's incredibly valuable topic to address. So I'm excited that Esker has partnered with me on the survey. And then, as always, we're going to wrap things up with some survey insights and some specific recommendations. So excited. Survey respondent demographics, just taking a look at the job titles. Want to note, we had some qualifying questions for all those taking the survey to make sure that they had the knowledge to answer all the questions that we asked. So we had a really good mix of respondents from leaders in accounting, finance, also, of course, in the accounts receivable as well, which is obviously tremendously important. So happy with the mixture of titles that we got, those perspectives. I'm also happy with the company size we had there. Got to know we had over 260 responses. So we have a pretty good mix. We had only 19% in less than 100 employees, but I think that's perfectly fine. I'm really excited for the mid-market and enterprise participation in the survey. So again, really solid survey results. Company sizes also very solid in terms of our mixture of the top industries represented, none more than 10%. Professional services, construction, manufacturing, software. So we have some really good, robust survey demographics. So I'm excited. One of the reasons I'm excited about the survey results. So let's go ahead and do a quick dive in, just to kind of look at the lay of the land. So we asked folks to share with us, what's the role of accounts receivable at your company? So some of you are reading down like, oh man, you can look at it either way. You can look at it as disappointing or tremendous opportunity. I choose the latter. So it was a bit disappointing to see that only 12% of companies report that their AR team and leaders are looked at as a key advisor on strategic business matters with the CFO. But then if you look at the other side of it, there's less than 1/4 that say AR is purely transactional, operational with no purview to strategic matters. So to me, that represents a tremendous opportunity for the accounts receivable team to earn that seat at the strategic table. They already have the attention of the CFO. We're supplying data, reporting, providing reporting that impacts decision making, and we're already an occasional advisor on certain strategic matters. So the opportunity is there. So if we are able to better communicate the value that AR is offering across the enterprise, then AR will get that seat at the strategic table. And of course, it's always important, should be more of a top priority for companies in getting paid. And a big part of how you're getting paid is the quality of those relationships that you have with your customers, which we'll talk about a lot. Companies need to invest in, but we also need to invest in the quality of communication and collaboration internally. So from what I've seen in my survey results, especially this survey, there are a lot of inherent barriers that exist in terms of effective communication and collaboration within and beyond AR, which when those can be removed, companies are going to see some amazing transformations going on and positive impacts to their bottom line. So I'm happy to talk about that opportunity and get the word out on why communication and collaboration is tremendously important. Of course, efficiency is important. The cost of processing those receipts is important, but there's so much more strategic value that can be delivered from AR done right. So also several of the survey results I'll go through pretty quickly. The reason I show these is to give you a little bit of a preview of what you'll see in the survey results, just looking at a role by company size. So where you stand depends on where you sit. So so just kind of looking at that. So to me, one of the things that's really encouraging is that in the enterprise companies, it's a much lower percentage, 19%, are purely transactional operational. So that's some good news, more opportunity there. A little bit surprised that again, it's a little bit of a lower percentage of our survey population, but 31% is from the small companies as well. And another thing which I'll point out is that from what I've seen, the mid-market has the greatest adoption of technology in terms of AR automation solutions. So we'd expect that to translate to having a better seat at the strategic table with the CFO. So I think companies that have already invested in these AR automation solutions would do very well to take a look and make sure that they are getting the value. And then let's take a look at the AR success metrics leverage. Let me go ahead and I want to go ahead and drop a polling question in here for you just to kind of set the stage a little bit before we dig in a whole lot deeper. Just asking you to share where your company is at in terms of AR automation. Have you been doing it over a year, started in the last 12 months, you're in the discovery phase, you're vetting solutions, or you have no plans or see no benefits? And this will help me in tailoring the content that I have to share with you today. So again, I appreciate everyone's consideration in answering all of our polling questions here today. If you're interested in receiving a certificate of attendance for today's webinar, you'll have to answer all the polling questions. So I'm going to go ahead, leave the polling question up for another few seconds or so, and then we'll go ahead and take a quick peek at those results, and then we'll dive into the survey results once again, and we'll take a quick peek at the success metrics that companies are leveraging. So let's go ahead to define AR performance and success. Go ahead, give you guys a couple more seconds. Go ahead and close the poll. Let's go ahead and share the polling results. So we've got kind of a bell curve here. So 38% of you have been doing it over a year. That's good to see. One of the things that I want to stress to the folks that have been doing it over a year, you need to make sure that you are getting as much value possible, the ROI you could and should realize from your investment in doing AR right at your company. So really, I think the key here is to paying attention at the communication and seeing if the technology that you invested in is facilitating communication and collaboration within and beyond AR. 24% have no plans or see no benefits. I'm pretty sure that by the end of the webinar, you'll see that this is certainly worth your time to investigate the value of investing in AR related technology. One of the things just to do that is to just look in the mirror, right? Look at all the processes, people and the processes and the technology, and really see what inherent barriers exist and some of the challenges that your teams, everyone that's involved in AR success are having, and you'll start to see pretty quickly the business case will make itself for investing in a cloud-based technology solution. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to answer that polling question. So let's go ahead and then we'll go ahead and look at the success metrics leverage. So not surprisingly, past due amount, DSO. So one of the things just to share is just to see that I would suggest that all companies on the webinar and all companies in general really look at all these success metrics leverage. And I also would encourage folks to also leverage more micro level in terms of performance, specifically your AR team, your specific members of your AR team. So not only those macro metrics, but also what I call micro metrics, because those micro metrics impact all of your macro metrics, and you need to understand the relationships there. So as your AR team becomes more productive, right, your DSO is going to go down, your past due amounts are going to go down, and hopefully as we go through the webinar, I'll continue to point out, and you'll start to immediately connect the dots that really, for example, cash projection accuracy. Where could we do better on that? Does AR really collaborate well with Treasury? I don't know. Of course, all these are related to your customer relationships, right? Collections, receive, delinquent customers, right? Cost of AR operations is communication issues across your AR team impact that. And customer relationships, again, bad debt write-offs, past due amount, investing in those relationships are going to have tremendous ROI. And one way to do that is through the right solution that helps facilitate communication and collaboration. So one of the things, just kind of looking at some AR challenges on the lay of the land. To me, we talked about metrics. I always say you can't manage what you can't see. So we asked folks to share what's the visibility into the order cash processes and all interactions with customers included. So 18% say, great, we see it all. That's nice. We should all aspire to be there. But any blind spots that you have are going to be causing issues, frictions with customers. They're going to be impacting your bottom line. So you want to make sure that you invest in a solution that offers you that visibility. A lot of times that it really helps you be proactive in all your communication. In addition to identifying issues, trends, and opportunities, we also ask folks if they have the data needed to manage to their AR metrics. It was great to see that 37% strongly agree and 50% agree. So that's almost 90% at least agree. But again, we need to go back and look at, okay, are these the right metrics? Are these the metrics that are actually impacting performance, which is translating to our company-wide metrics? And so let's make sure we are leveraging those right metrics as well. So let's go ahead and, take a look. Let's take a look at the technology here. Just take a high level look on the technology. Of course, we'll get back to that later. This is a question you should ask yourself, all of you, of course, but those of you that have already been invested in AR automation for over a year, ask your AR team this question: what's the impact of the technology on managing to your AR success metrics? Is it positive, very positive? Is it neutral? Is it negative? If it's not very positive, then I think you have some work to do. You should go back to your solution provider and let them talk to you about customer success, because you're investing, so it should be very positive. If it's positive, you can be very positive. If it's neutral, then obviously you have some technological immaturity that you want to address. We also have looked at those survey results by company size as well. So we start to see it's a good thing for me to see that 32% of enterprise say that they are getting what they wanted out of their technology. And it's a little disappointing to see the mid-market's only 20% given that that's where we see the most adoption in the AR automation solutions. Of course, we definitely don't want that to be negative at all, which the good news is that we didn't have a lot of in the negative space for small folks, which you think it would be higher. But again, small population. So a lot of the survey results, again, where you stand depends on where you sit, just to level set. Okay, where are we at in terms of our AR lay of the land? What are some challenges? What are some opportunities? Let's take an overarching look at data and technology, but then let's really start to get into the focus on communication and the impacts that both positive and negative impacts that communication and collaboration done right on AR success. So let's take a look at AR communication internally. Let's go ahead and get you the polling question. You're going to have a lot of polling questions, so you're going to have to stay on your feet, pay attention. So one of the questions that I asked in the survey was, ask folks, do silos exist within your AR team? There's a lot of different dimensions, right? AR, collections, Cash App, deductions. So there's a lot of different areas of that. So please go ahead and share with me that really quick, yes, no, or you just don't know at this point. Again, if you're interested in receiving the certificate of attendance for today's webinar, you will have to answer all the polling questions. The rest of you, it just takes a moment. If you go ahead and just please click that button, I'd really appreciate it. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a look at how the audience survey results from the polling question here compare to the survey results that we've seen, and then we'll start to really dive in here. And some of the things we'll look at the types of silos that exist and the ones that are identified as having the biggest negative impact. So I'm going to go ahead, close the survey results. Let's go ahead and do a quick share here. So we have 44% of you that say yes, 42% no, 13% say you don't know. Of course, if you don't know, that's your homework for today. I would venture to guess that if you don't know, I'm sure those silos exist. And then 42% of you that say no, I certainly hope that's the case, but I would probably suggest going back and really having a little bit of a deep look in the mirror. And when we go through all the different areas that silos can exist, just ask both of the counterparties, right, in Cash App and collections, do you guys feel like you work in silos? And you might change your answer from a no to a yes. I hope the answer is no. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we saw survey results. So we saw a lot bigger percentage of the survey respondents agree or strongly agree their AR team works in silos. So we saw 63% that said yes, and then neither agree or disagree. But the thing that got me was only 17% would disagree with that statement. So I think that is a huge inference from this survey, is that AR teams work in silos, right? And so, okay, now let's talk about, is that important? What's the impact? What's the value to mitigating those silos? And that is a huge inherent barrier to AR success, and also a huge opportunity for the AR professionals as we start to see more automation going on. Strategic value can be delivered by facilitating collaboration within AR with your AR colleagues. Then we also looked at the question by company size as well. And what we see is enterprise companies, not all that surprising because they're bigger, but a big percentage there work in silos. And also, so you look at the mid-market and enterprise companies, and we see this is a huge problem. And of course, enterprise size companies, as far as I should have mentioned this earlier, I look at enterprise companies in terms of the size of the company, in terms of number of employees. So I probably already shared this, but over 1,000 enterprise, between 100 and 999 is mid-market, and less than 100 would be small. So we start to see that, of course, at an enterprise size companies, the revenue amounts are going to be much larger. So the impact, the dollar amounts of these negative impacts of silos are going to be felt more deeply on the bottom line by those companies. And then we ask, what's the impact of AR team silos on AR success? Significant. right? Think about that question at your company, right? Especially those of you who know they exist, just think about that. What is the impact? It should be none, but if it's, especially if it's significant, 42% of survey respondents say that's significant, 47% minimal. If silos exist, I would argue there's no way that it has no impact on your AR success and your company's bottom line. Something to think about. AR silos exist within AR teams, and the impact on AR success is significant. Of course, we take a look at that by company size as well. And so we take a look at that in terms of, again, mid-market and enterprise. We're seeing at 45%, 43%, right? And so that's really a big number. So none is just mid-market, so that they have a lower percentage. Also, that says silos don't exist. So maybe the silos don't exist. They don't have an impact if they don't believe they exist. But we're looking at mid-market, enterprise-sized companies. Silos exist. They're having a big impact on AR success, which means a big impact on your company's bottom line, which means if we can help mitigate those silos, that's going to deliver value and it's going to resonate with your CFO. So let's go ahead and do our next polling question, which will dovetail into some more survey results. So asking you to share which silo has the largest negative impact on AR success. Is it credit collections, Cash App and collections, Cash App and credit, collections and deductions? And of course, we already know some of you believe no silos exist. So this, to me, those of you that said no, and again, hopefully it's no, just think about all these different things. Why don't I go back and get my whole AR team or do these one-on-one by these areas they manage, Cash App and credit, Cash App collections, Cash App deductions, credit collections, credit deductions, collections deductions, say that 5 times fast, everyone. But this is important to get into that mindset. Okay, communication, collaboration, it's really important. Let's start in-house. So the first step is to look at those internal hurdles and silos. So give you guys another couple seconds, then we'll take a quick peek here, and then we'll also take a quick peek at the corresponding survey results from the survey that we've been talking about that has over 260 responses. Let's go ahead and close that. Let's go ahead and share the results here. So we see credit collections at 26%. The next one, obviously, Cash App and collections, collections and deductions is another one, and Cash App and credit is what is lowest, and then we have 22%. No silos exist. So let's just kind of keep those numbers in mind. So we have credit collections over 20%, Cash App and collections over 20%, and collections and deductions. So one of the things that you'll see is that the biggest negative impact, it can vary, right, by company. So you want to look, so it's not just, oh, we got to look at credit collections. Well, wait a minute, all these can have a significant impact at your company. So all of these are areas in which you should investigate. Does the silo exist? Can I mitigate the silo? And what's the impact if for some reason you need to prioritize which silo you need to address on the initial basis to have the biggest impact. Let's go ahead and hide those results. So compared to what we saw here, luck would have it, the same percentage, credit and collections was number 1. Cash application and collections was also 20%, 24% from our survey. And then collections and deductions was actually higher among our survey respondents. Again, the point here is being that there are significant silos that impact AR success. They're significant, and there's a lot of different counterparties involved. And what you'll see here, which is probably surprising to those of you that aren't in the AR weeds, Cash App and credit, right? That makes up a big percentage, right, of those numbers. And so that's a counterparty that a lot of people don't pay enough attention to, and that's where an AR solution can have a tremendous impact, not only on communication and collaboration, but on working capital management as well. And a lot of times what companies find is really being efficient in the Cash App process really has benefits across AR success in the bottom line. And that that piece of the business case pays for that investment. So again, just interesting there. We have silos that exist, they have a meaningful impact, and then the biggest impact on AR success metrics, it varies across companies with, you know, five at least, maybe more than that, combinations of counterparties, and cash application seems to be a component there. Now, of course, the question is that due to our cash application team? Is it their fault, right? Do they have the biggest barriers in the technology they use? Is there a big disconnect between the technology used by our cash app and our credit and our collection and reductions? Is a big piece of that visibility, asymmetry of information? I would venture to say the answer to that is probably yes. And so let's flip the coin, see if it aligns. We asked, what's the biggest impact with improved collaboration? So what speaks to me here is cash application, right? 37% cash application and credit. So we look to improve that collaboration, which is incredibly important. Again, where you stand depends on where you sit. A lot of the survey results here are trying to motivate you to ask the right questions, have these conversations, and uncover ways to deliver more strategic value from accounts receivable by focusing on communication and collaboration. So I think that's really interesting. And then this is something that I wanted to get at, which I like to call myself the why guy. What are the causes of the silos within your AR team? So these are things that are important to look at. Okay, you have silos. Let's figure out what the root cause is, and then let's see if we have some medicine for those. So 32%, not surprisingly, obviously they could select more than one option here, use different systems, right? Some of these I asked a little bit different ways, but these are a little disturbing to me. To me, what I'm about to say is that there is not a culture of collaboration within AR teams, and that falls on AR leaders. We are not expected to collaborate, 20%. We have no incentive to collaborate, 26%. No real reason. They have always existed. So that's, that's a lot. So over 20% of the companies surveyed, right, identify all three of those issues, which to me is just about the culture. Why don't you have an incentive to collaborate? Why are you not expected to collaborate? No real reason. Why are you allowing silos to exist? And I'm happy to have a conversation with you as well. I'm sure my friends at Escar as well, as to the cost, right? What are the costs of these silos? And then we don't have access to the same data, right? Is obviously something that you would think top of mind. That's 30%. So we look at, what if we had technology that facilitated communication and collaboration and data analytics? Oh, I think we probably can wipe out all those. Obviously, you don't have silos, but even if you think you have no silos, it's going to improve the communication and collaboration between all the different counterparties that exist between accounts receivable teams. So AR communications, we tackled internal. Now let's get into communications with customers, which is really a thing that I'm kind of getting on my soapbox about. So you're going to see much more of that from me in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you another polling question. So feel free to share. I'm not going to tell on you. Feel free to be honest. I'm asking, does each communication from your AR team with customers, does it have a purpose? Yes, no, maybe you don't know. Again, if you'd like a certificate of attendance for today's webinar, I need you to answer all the polling questions. As we've been rolling through our polling questions today, again, what we'll do is we'll take a look at where our poll results here jive with our survey responses, and then I'll really start to dive into what I believe effective communications with customers looks like. So I'm going to be talking about 3 different dimensions in that way, and hopefully those are, in terms of AR communications, you're going to take away some best practices, either to make sure they're going on at your company or to have conversations to make sure that more attention is paid to AR communications and making sure each one has a purpose and each one is tracked, it has a goal, and those are managed in terms of the number and the tone of those communications. So let's go ahead. Thank you everyone for answering the polling question. Let's go ahead and share the results. So happy to see that 72% of people are saying yes. If you're saying no, I would just kind of pose a question, why not? If there's no purpose to the communication, what's going to happen? You're going to cause friction with customers. If you just keep sending people stunning emails every day, getting madder and madder, is that really going to help the situation? The answer is no. Are you going to lose the customer's business in the future? Yes. Are you going to get a reputation in your industry for the way you treat your customers? Yes. And then if you don't know, I think this is just an interesting thing for me, especially if I was in Treasury, I would want to find out. So, are we doing this? Why are we not doing this? Should we be doing it? And how do we do that? Right? And AR related technology can help us do that efficiently. So take a look at the survey results. 84% of survey respondents say they agree or strongly agree. And then, of course, got to do the company size, slice and dice. So just again, the company slice and dice is give you the appetite for the full survey report. Again, where you stand depends on where you sit. So maybe you're a enterprise size company. So you say, okay, so it looks like, enterprise 84% say it kind of jives with what we're seeing in the graph to the left there. But then if you're a mid-market company, right? So we have 83%. So there's not a lot of difference there. But again, to me, it's interesting if I can give you information that helps you more directly identify with your company's situation. We can also do survey industry level slices and dices if you're interested in going that deep as well. I'd be happy to work with you and my partner Oscar to have a conversation with you about what that looks like. So the other thing, okay, you can have a purpose, that's nice. To me, you also need to have a classification code. So we asked folks, do you have a classification code? Yes, half, which is kind of wishy-washy. I wish there was more. Yes, but only with certain customers. And then 16% no. To me, the question with obviously that comes, it seems like it makes sense, but I think this is also a culture issue. Why are certain customers more important than others? Why don't you need to have a reason code, right? With all your customers, if you have a reason code for all your customers, it's gonna help you do a better job of really identifying the root causes. A lot of times the root causes are the purposes that you have, right, are gonna be the same across all your customers. Why are they different? So I would say, let's get that 34%, let's get everyone, but pre-communication with each customer should have a reason, and it should have a reason code. And some of you are like, we don't have the technology to do that. The answer is that technology is cost effective, and it's really important. And you will see improvements in your customer relationships, which will translate to your bottom line. And then, of course, we want to take a look at those results by company size as well. So we see yes, right? Yes, is what we want to see. We want to see that's lower for small companies. And to me, the small companies should be paying even more attention to why they're not getting paid, because their number of customers in general, big generality, but it's going to be smaller. So yeah, they should be having valued each and every customer. Every company should value each and every customer. If you don't, then why are they your customer, right? You should be managing your customers. If you don't care about your customers, then they shouldn't be a customer. You should be in the relationship business, not the transaction business. So important there. And then the final piece of this effective communication with customers, I would say, is that what about the number of communications? So my best practice, 3-prong, each communication has a purpose. It should be classified with a code, and this should be for each and every customer. But we should also be looking at the number of communications from the AR team to achieve an objective. So we have a purpose. Okay, we want this to happen. We want this to happen. We want them to respond back. We want to get a payment date. We want to get the exact date of the payment. We want some information. So just think about it. Okay, it's human nature. I want to get something accomplished. So I might just send the same email over and over and over and over, just because I think, well, they might not pay attention, but I think if I send 10, they might respond to 1. That's going to create friction, unnecessary friction with your customers, and it's going to impact the bottom line. So there needs to be some logic. there should be data-driven decisions being made around AR communications. Again, a little bit more color with purpose. I mean, there should be a desired action. I want this to happen. I want a response. I want an open. And you have to collaborate with whoever's managing your email communications. If it's managed in the department, that's fine. But we need to have visibility into the success. If we're going to use emails, right, that needs to get tracked in our system. It needs to get linked with our Salesforce. So hopefully, obviously, if you're using Salesforce to manage your customer relationships, you're going to also be doing email, but we need to look at those as well. So we're looking at AR communication success. We need to be looking at all types of communication, email, and then phone calls, and that information needs to be logged. That needs to be visible to all those that are managing your customer relationships. We'll talk about AR and sales in a moment. So given my treasury audience here, a lot of my treasury people, we'll talk about AR communication with treasury. There's a lot more in the blog that I have written for Esker that'll be on their website soon about this, also in the survey report. So let's take a look. What are these? Okay, I think I got two different results, so shame on me. So AR collaborates with treasury relative to working capital. So the answer is 73% should be doing it. And then the one on the right should say AR is going to spend more time collaborating with treasury relative to working capital in 2024. So what we want to see is AR is collaborating with treasury. So what we're looking for there is, what is that receipts forecast, right? How do we manage that? How do we get predictability there so we can make the best decisions on our cash movements, managing our cash, especially if we're a net borrower, and then managing our foreign currency exposures. And then it's good to see that I am seeing some traction where AR teams are going to spend more time working with treasury, and that's a way for AR teams to deliver strategic value, having more alignment with treasury in terms of those receipts forecasts, and also helping manage those customer relationships, also potentially looking at those trends that we have in customer behaviors based on communications. So now we're going to take a quick peek. Everyone, you're excited. You're going to have another polling question. So let's go ahead and asking you to share with us, do you believe your AR and sales team collaborate effectively in managing your customer relationships? Both parties have a meaningful impact on the relationship success. From what I saw when I was in Treasury, there was usually a disconnect. And unfortunately, probably not your sales teams, but sales teams always want to be heroes and never want to communicate a negative information. And then the AR team, a lot of times, is a little bit too aggressive in their communication with customers. All customers matter, but especially your key customers, and you can really cause damage to a customer relationship. One, if you're not in the loop. So let's just say the sales guy knows the payment's coming in late, so you should make a note. So you should maybe take that off your DSO somehow. Ooh, the AR guy doesn't get that. He starts hammering on your biggest customer, the nasty email. Oopsie, that creates a problem on many levels, causes damage to relationships and the bottom line. So going to give you guys another couple seconds. Then we're going to go ahead and take a quick peek here, and then we'll take a quick peek at how our polling results here stack up to the survey results and do some analysis there. All right, so, got to share. So we see I would say only 61% agree. We strongly agree, so you can't agree. So I would say, sorry if you're from Houston, we have a problem here. We should be able to at least agree or strongly agree. So there may be some inherent misalignment there because of sales incentives, sales goals, your credit policy, how you manage your counterparty risk exposures. But we need to mitigate that, and we'll see a little later the consequences of that. And the way I would measure that, one way is that what is the percentage of orders that fall outside of the credit policy and standard terms? And when that starts happening, you see that number going up in any meaningful manner, 5, 10% or more. That is a huge problem. It's definitely having a big negative impact on your company's bottom line. Could be doing better, and if nothing else, you're definitely not managing to your company's risk exposures and risk tolerance, which is set by your board of directors, which is obviously a problem. So AR collaborates with sales teams. So we had over 2/3 say, more than that, no, yeah, 2/3 say that agree or strongly agree, which is good. I would want to see that more. I'd want that to be strongly agree. And then no big differences here by company size. Again, one of the reasons is to inspire you to read the full survey report that my friends at Esker are going to be publishing. There's a lot of great content here that I have never seen in AR research. So I'm hoping it's going to spur a lot more questions and spur a lot more attention to effective communication and collaboration. Again, we've already seen issues internally. Treasury, I would say we kind of have a positive momentum going there. I think there's maybe not to anyone's surprise. I think there is an inherent drag that happens at the majority of companies across industries, across company size, because of the misalignment between AR and sales team. So one of the ways that I wanted to look is let's look at both sides of the relationships. What are things that can help communications better? How about if AR communicates with sales when customers are paying late? Obviously, that would be good. Only 31% say always. Why not? And communication can be an automatic notification from your AR automation solution. But if you think about it, why? So, customers are responsible for managing those relationships. So maybe the customers can give them a call and say, hey, why are we paying late? And then they may be able to, if they have a really good relationship, say, hey, do you know when this payment's going to be made? And that avoids a nasty email or an email from your AR team. It gives them more time, right, to value their time. What about that? And they say, well, it can be a thing. Okay, think about prioritizing that, right? So, and also you can look at the person that's responsible for the customer relationships. Maybe they want that role, right? They want to know, they want to communicate, they want to help. They know that's valuable to the company. So we should have communication going from AR when sales are paying late. Now, this is the harder side of the coin. So sales communicate with AR when deals are closed outside of standard payment terms. So for that, I'll be really broad. I'll say maybe your standard sales terms are 210 net 30, or I'm also going to put in there credit policy. So I think that's the way I worded the question. I don't think I communicated that well on the slide. Payment terms or credit policy. So always, that's good. I'm surprised that's 26%. Usually, sometimes, rarely, never. Obviously, that's a problem. It's just a matter of communication inefficiencies. Why not? Because it's going to impact the predictability. Those receivables, it's going to make the forecast wrong when it doesn't need to be wrong. It's going to cause your bottom line impact because suboptimal cash movements, also suboptimal counterparty risk management. You could have overexposure to a company, to markets, to industries, however you slice and dice those as well. So we want to get that communication going both ways. Sit down and have a conversation. It would be nice. Also, we can automate that. Oh, there's a boom, there's a deal that closed outside of standard payment terms. First of all, I would argue that should need an approval from a senior person, at least on the sales team or the CFO or something like that. But there should also be a notification that goes to the AR team who might be responsible for communicating with that customer in a certain area, because you know the information, it's past due, oh, it's 210 net. Well, it's not really 210 net 30. Oh, but guess what? Your system can be updated so you can have specific terms for specific customers. So we can mitigate some of those communications that we are having. It might have a specific purpose, but the purpose isn't really relevant because the issue is already resolved, which again goes to the efficiency, but also damaging those relationships. Oh, that's a good one. All right. Note to self, I'm the presentation guy. So the impact of this, and this is really what stuck out to me in looking at this dimension of communications, percentage of orders that fall outside credit policy. So credit policy, means your limits, but also your terms as well. So only 23% could report less than 5%. You have over half of the company surveyed, it's over 10% of your orders. Dramatic pause. I didn't have a tech issue there. Just think about that. So if you don't know the answer to this, this is something that you really want to take a look into, and you can say to me, that's okay. Our company's okay with that, but this is a place where you really need to be making informed decisions. And then, okay, they fall outside the credit policy. Why? Was it approved? What are the reasons? Is that a trend going forward? Why is that happening? Right? And I would strongly advise someone to have a credit policy, obviously, as well. But this is tremendously important. This is the impact, right? One of the impacts, percentage of orders fall outside your credit policy, that translates into a negative inherent barrier to your bottom line. So think about that. And then, of course, we're going to take a quick peek by company size as well. And so this one is disturbing to me. If you look at enterprise size companies, look at this, 16 to 20%, 20%, 7%, more than 20%, right? Those numbers are a little scary to me. And I mean, I don't know, small companies might not have as many orders to deal with, but these numbers here to me are disturbing. So hopefully it's like, wow, I really need to look at that. Or in some of the results I'm presenting, you may think, well, I never thought about that. So there are all these dimensions, and then there are all these potential consequences. The good news is, with the right investment in technology and process, and also just the overall culture of credit, a lot of these issues can be mitigated, and you can see tremendous differences in the efficiency and the bottom line impact positive that your AR team has. Oh, we already got this. See, I thought I left this out. So this is what I was trying to do earlier. So AR collaborates with Treasury, right? We went through that, and then we have some more results by company size as well. So it's good. We'd like to see strongly agree higher at the enterprise size companies, because I believe there could be the most impact there. So we've taken a look at internal communications with sales, treasury, right, and our customers. So you're like, wow, I didn't know all these existed. So we can see all these potential areas for improvement. And then the other side of AR communication, I guess I might have put this up into internal, but what about AR performance, right? We talked about metrics earlier. So we just ask folks to communicate that performance. What's the main tool that you use? Is it spreadsheets, BI tools, AR automation tools? So just interesting to take a look at how that's being managed. And then we take a look at those by company size. So just to kind of look at where the technology is at. So in order to improve the management of AR and deliver the most value, we have to understand, right, how are we measuring performance? Okay, how is that being communicated? What information do the consumers of that information need in order to impact performance on an individual level and a departmental level? And I would say a subset, like, what do we need to do to make our cash app team better, our credit team better, our collections team better? So we asked folks, do you produce standardized AR performance reports? 71% said yes. But then we look at what are the consumers of the AR performance reports. Whoa, look at all those people across the office of the CFO. So my point here is that people that impact AR performance or help lead performance, help drive performance, help pull the levers, they need different information. So we should be looking to have customized AR performance reports, at least for the different segments of consumers of a report. So CFO, they're like macro level, we got to ask the right questions, right? Treasury, we're probably focused on the receipts forecasting, things of that nature. And then we're going to have our managers and our specialists. They're going to be more tuned in on the individual performance. So to close the loop on the communication, we have to also effectively communicate performance or non-performance, and we need to get the folks the information they need in order to help us optimize our performance. And that almost certainly should not be the same reports going to every single person across the office of the CFO who is using this data. So all these people are using this data to try and inspire or direct or manage better performance of AR, and you should not be giving them the same performance reports. So let me go ahead and spend a few moments. Going to start with some key survey inferences and then some recommendations as well. As I do that, I'm going to go ahead and launch another polling question to make sure that you are still around to answer that, because I know it's been a lot of information. Hopefully it's been very thought-provoking, and I have inspired you to want to learn even more about the survey results and a couple questions. There will be a survey, a recording of the webinar today, which I will coordinate with Esker as well. So here's some key inferences that I've talked to, but just to put a fine point on 7 of them. Companies face silos within their AR teams. Many companies face more than one silo. There's a lack of culture collaboration within AR teams, and that's a common cause of AR silos. Again, we mentioned people identified, not expected, no incentives, and just accepted as business as usual. We need to change that culture. I believe companies need to understand and invest in mitigating any silos that exist within their AR teams. Companies need to invest more in improving communication between AR team members and their customers. Companies need to prioritize mitigating the misalignment of AR and sales and managing customer relationships. Companies would do well to invest in technology that facilitates visibility across their entire order to cash process and all interactions with customers. And the misalignment of a sales team's actions with credit policies is a critical issue for companies of all sizes. I'm going to go ahead and close the polling question here in a moment. Really appreciate everyone answering that, not only as a courtesy to me, but as a courtesy to my thought leadership partner as well, Esker. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and close that. So close things up with recommendations to deliver success in any environment. Take a deep and honest dive into your entire AR process. Of course, we really focus on the communication that's going on. So I think that's a big takeaway. AR done right takes a continuous commitment. Create a culture of collaboration within your AR team. Take a look in the mirror, have conversations, see if those silos exist, find out why. If you don't believe none exist, you would still do well to go back and make sure that's the case and get that verification from folks that work across all those different sub areas of AR. Ensure that each interaction with any customer is tracked with a reason code. There's a goal for that communication, and the number of interactions is limited, and we have visibility into those. Require active collaboration between your AR and sales teams. We gave you just a few areas, and technology can definitely help with that. You want to right size the alignment of credit policies and sales goals. I would say make those as close as possible. And then finally, invest in technology that delivers visibility across your entire OTC process and all customer interactions. This functionality empowers data-driven decision-making, and we want data-driven decision-making even in our communications with our customers and internally as well, making sure that all of our internal customers are happy as well. I also want to remind everyone that I have a cash management tech demo day coming on November 9th, and Esker is going to be a key partner on that as well. If you are going to the AFP annual conference in San Diego, I encourage you to go to the Esker booth and talk to my friends at Esker. Also, again, we will be having the full white paper based on the survey report and the webinar recording on the Esker website. I sincerely appreciate your time. I know there's a lot of webinars out there, and I do my very best to offer you a unique webinar experience. To everyone, make the rest of your day great, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.